Okay, so hi and welcome. Welcome back to Think Differently. This is our second event uh, where I'm going live every week, almost every week, to talk about a topic that feels important. Most of these topics are inspired by conversations that I'm having with clients and potential clients. And I think part of my mission with Think Differently is to have conversations that aren't being had, to take the behind the scenes, oh my God, Laura, I can only tell you that I'm scared about this, or I can only tell you that this feels weird in my business, and to anonymously, obviously I'm not going to share my client, direct client conversations with the world, but to start to talk about the things that I'm just half the time I find a client will bring something to me and I'm like, you're not the only one that's dealing with this. I just got off a call with someone else dealing with the same thing. And that validation and that normalization of like, you're not crazy. This is just the nature of the industry right now, which is what we're going to talk about today. Or you're not crazy. This is just the nature of what's easy and hard about running businesses. So that's really what I'm here to do. Kind of my secret mission under the mission is to really normalize what this experience is in running a business. And we are all in this together. So please feel free to ask questions as you go. You will be paying it forward to everybody else listening if you have a question, or if you have an insight or a comment or oh God, this is the part that's hard for me here. You're not going to be alone and you're going to be supporting other people in that. So today we are talking about, let me actually back up. If you don't know me, my name is Laura Livingston. I'm a business coach and a mindset coach. And I really love to help people who are running businesses doing work that they feel deeply and personally called to do through their businesses. So while I call myself a business coach, I often say to my clients, I work only one-on-one with my clients. My clients are my clients. The person in front of me is my client, not their business. And so that match of you and the work you're doing and taking care of the business at the same time is always my goal, and supporting the person in front of me versus how do we just run a business because here's the copy paste formula that we know to run a business. Like I don't see business like that. I was in consulting for 18 years and everything I've done, whether I was in-house or whether I was an external consultant going in to help an organization, and now almost 7 years as a business coach, what I see is that while there are lots of universal principles, and we're going to talk about some of those today in terms of how to run a healthy, profitable business, the magic in especially running small businesses is finding the right answer for you, the right path for you, the right path for your business, based on your phase in business, based on what your lifestyle is like, based on your work style and the work that you do. Not every strategy is going to make sense for you. And so there is only one unique snowflake way to run your business, and we're going to do that together. And so that's the work that I do. And that's also sort of the conversation or sort of the backdrop of this conversation that I always have. So something I've been saying a lot lately is I don't help you run a business, I help you run your business. And so that's hopefully what you'll hear today are not, oh, I'm going to copy paste everything Laura said and throw it into my business and now I'll be more healthy and profitable. It's going to be things that you can be thinking about so that you can find the right way to apply these concepts that what I'm talking about, apply those directly to your business. And so please be listening from that perspective and filter out what doesn't apply to you and filter in what does and ask questions as we go. Okay, so what we're talking about today are the three things, and I'm going to try really hard to keep it to three things that are working in small businesses right now. The industry has changed in the last few years, really, especially in the last year to 18 months. And I'm going to talk very briefly about that. I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about industry changes. That's not really what I'm here to talk about today. We're going to talk about, so great, what do you do and what's working right now? I'm just going to spoiler alert, where it's working right now is stuff that has been working for years. Like these are very simple, basic business principles. I'm not talking about something that's new. And I just really want to normalize that, like running a business, that match, as we talked about, between you and your business and what's going on right now, that is the magic. But business itself is not complicated. And I think number one, if you don't hear anything else today, what I'm seeing in the industry And I'm talking online, I'm talking everywhere, right? Everybody's freaking out about the economy and the election and all these things in the United States, at least. And the truth is business is still business. And as much as things change and evolve, some of these basic things are still true. And so we're going to be talking about what are the things that keep rising to the top in my world, that are working, right? So I'm not going to be sharing something dramatic, some secret that you've never heard. There are no secrets. Okay. Yes. Okay. I'm just checking the chat. Interested in what tips you have to share. Your first one was insightful and supportive. Thank you. Your email drew me here. Okay, cool. And then here to listen, support, and observe. Absorb, if I could read this right, staying off camera. Yeah, perfect, great, perfect. And if you missed last week, the topic was, we were talking about free offers. So if you want a copy of that, either let me know here in the chat if you're live, or just reply when I'm going to send an email out to you later today with the recording, and you can just hit reply to that and let me know that you want the replay from last week, and I can send it to you if you don't already have it. If you're interested in how to use, and the title of last week was how to use free offers without giving it all away. So I think it was like how to use free offers strategically. That's where we are. Strategically without burning yourself out, giving it all away, or being friend zoned. That's what it was. Okay, so briefly, what's going on in the industry and where I want to help you is to help you to tune out the noise. That essentially what I want to sort of help you do right now is to tune out the noise and to rise above the noise. So internally in your mindset, right, there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot being said. We have a lot of people. My view is messed up. Hold on. We have a lot of people entering the small business space, a lot of people entering the coaching space. This isn't just for coaches, but specifically, especially coaches and other service providers. There's a lot of people that have just entered these industries in the last few years. And a lot of that is sort of like, after the fact from COVID and people who have quit their 9-to-5s and those kinds of things. And so I think in most cases, this is a really good thing because it just means like small businesses are going nowhere. Coaching is going nowhere, meaning it's going to continue. And it takes a minute, right? Anytime a market gets saturated, anytime it gets a flooding of people, right? Anytime there's a lot of people available to work, right? Now there's demand in terms of jobs, there are there's not enough jobs to support all the people out there, right? Or the demand is just changing here in our industry. And so that's normal. That's normal business. It's always housing, right? There's always a buyer's market or a seller's market, right? And it shifts and evolves, and there's way to be successful in all markets. But your strategies or your focal points need to be different as you go. And so that's really what I'm here to help you with. So, I think from the first thing I want to say, that's work. Oh, so I think what I'm seeing, I'm just going to quickly run through my notes. What I'm seeing out there is it's saturated. There's a lot of noise about, hey, you need to do this thing because, the algorithm has changed and nobody's seeing your stuff. Or you need to do this thing because AI's here and you now have to do all these complicated things. So you need to do more things, learn more things, change everything. I'm hearing a lot of that. Like, you can't run your business now like you used to. I'm sorry. No, no. And yes, we adjust and shift and adapt to market changes. And so I know I'm going to sound like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, but it really is about understanding how the environment is affecting your business and then tuning the rest of that shit out and getting focused on what your business needs. And that's really it. And so it's not more complicated. You don't need to make things more complicated. You don't need to do more things. You don't need to do everything differently. You don't need to learn more things. So what do you need to do so that you can consume, so that you can tune it out for yourself from like a consuming perspective and for your mindset? But also that was about you. What does your business need to rise above the noise so that you're still standing out and being known for what you do so that you can continue to book clients or customers in this sort of phase that we're in. Number one, focus and prioritize. Don't get annoyed with me. I told you I'm not telling you anything really exciting and dramatic, but I'm going to go into this, right? So number one is about prioritizing and focusing. So I've got a couple of things that I want to share specific to this and how you can apply this to your business, because I think I want you to be able to take this and have some real action steps walking out of here today. So one of the other things that's happening in the industry right now is our sales cycles tend to be, not for everybody, tend to be longer, particularly if you're providing a high ticket offer. So what that means is that it takes more time for people to get to know, like, and trust you, because there's so many freaking people out here, right? It's really that simple. It's still a buyer's market, and that's okay. Businesses that stand the test of time can evolve and shift during a buyer's market and during a seller's market. And so if you started your business in 2020, for example, you got sort of more of a buyer's market. I'm sorry, you got more of a seller's market back then. Now we're in a buyer's market. So I always say, like, first off, let's just look at this as an opportunity to learn, because you learning how to do this world in your business, you learning how to operate your business in a buyer's market is only going to ever help you in the long run. So if we have a longer sales cycle, which just means once you put something out that's new, or when somebody who's new to you comes into your world, everybody's sales cycle is different, but whatever your sales cycle used to be a year or two ago is probably a little bit longer. Again, everybody's going to be different. So number one, if we are saying we need to stay above the noise and stand out and also continue to grow our pipeline and sign clients during a seller's market. Oh my God, I keep saying wrong. During a buyer's market. Focusing and prioritizing, knowing that we have longer sales cycles, is about doing less. And frankly, it's about doing less better. So a couple of really simple examples. I will use myself as an example. I always try to use myself as an example instead of clients, because I don't want anybody to know who my clients are unless they out themselves. But for example, I used to write my content for my Facebook group. I don't have a Facebook group anymore. So this is a few years ago. I used to write my content for my Facebook group and then just repurpose it in all the other places, right? Instagram, regular Facebook, on my email, and eventually LinkedIn. Platforms were so much more similar to one another a few years ago, and now they're quite different, right? Like, my two priorities are Instagram and LinkedIn, and they are dramatically different in terms of the people, how they're consuming, putting a tiny little, using my phone to record a video for a reel is a completely different visual experience on LinkedIn. And so I think it's just really important, if I just use those examples, I don't actually use Facebook anymore, but I'm still posting on LinkedIn and Instagram and sharing with my email list. And frankly, I have a much stronger networking strategy than ever. So I have 4 places where I'm sharing my work and getting the exposure and visibility for my business. So I'm not saying only pick one of those, right? I've got 4. I'm not trying to tell you that I only can pick one, but pick a priority. So I write my content for LinkedIn because that's the best place. I have a really solid network of people there who know me. So that helps me nurture my people. And this is my business. This isn't a copy paste for you. You might have a different priority or different platform that's your priority. But I write for LinkedIn, and then I copy paste everywhere else with a few variations, but I don't spend a whole lot of time trying to turn my LinkedIn post into an Instagram reel. If it's quick and easy, it goes that way. If it's not, it just goes out how it is. Or maybe it doesn't even get posted at all. And so I'm giving you a really quick and dirty example to say I am focused as a priority on LinkedIn so that I'm always thinking about, the other reason I focus on LinkedIn is because it's the best place. It's the place where I'm getting the best reach. So it helps me bring in new clients, new people into my world, reach. But it also helps me nurture the people who are already in my world. It's not that other platforms don't do that. It's just that I track my own data, and I know where most of my clients have come from, where most of the people who are in my pipeline are consuming my information. Most of those people are on LinkedIn, and most of my new people coming into my world are coming in through LinkedIn. Not always, but a lot more. And so I'm just focusing there. It doesn't mean that I'm not continuing to spend time on the other platforms. But again, number one is about focus and prioritize. I just have a priority and I have a focus. And when in doubt, Instagram is going to get forgotten for today if I'm busy, and I'm just going to focus on LinkedIn. And it helps me prioritize my day. But what we're doing strategically in this example is we're doing less better. I'm getting better and better at understanding my LinkedIn audience so that I can keep getting better reach, so that I can keep nurturing the people that are already there. What's working for me is that platform better than anything else. And so I'm just spending more time and energy focusing on it. That's it. If you're talking about the other place that I see focus and priority really slam people is in offers. If you have 14 different offers and you're talking about one week and the next one this week, particularly if your offers are really different, right? If one is a group offer and one is a one-on-one offer. If we have longer sales cycles and it's taking people longer to see our content and it's taking people longer to get, oh, I see what she does and I understand who she helps and I understand the problem that she saw. Oh, now she's doing a group program, right? And it just takes longer. And so this has always been true. My business coach and I always have an argument about that whole, I don't know if you guys are familiar with pick and stick, but there's this whole philosophy about pick one strategy and one offer and run that shit into the ground until it makes you six figures and then grow from there. And she is very much at that school of thought. She is my business coach. And we also both know that, and I serve mostly multi-passionates. Most of my clients have multiple businesses, multiple offers. That is not going to work for them because they are iterating and evolving over time and their work is changing. And so how do we marry the two? And that's the funny, we always have a pretend argument about it because the truth is it's about finding your balance between the two. But the truth is when you disperse your energy in multiple directions, let's just use that as an example. I have a group offer and if I have a one-on-one and a group offer, I'm dispersing my energy in multiple directions. It is going to take longer to generate traction in either one of those areas because I've split my energy and my focus and my priority, right? And so I can still have two offers, but maybe I'm only talking about one offer for a whole month, right? Maybe I'm focused on all my content for 2 weeks is on one offer and then I switch. That helps your audience get to know, like, and trust you and keep up with the ride versus making them think that you're changing and, oh, I was going to hire her for one-on-one, but now she's talking about group and I don't know, and I'm barely reading anyway, so I missed it, right? And you're missing out on a client who just can't keep up because they're not getting the information. They're not seeing all of your stuff, right? So there's I could do 8 years. I could talk for 8 hours about prioritizing and focus, but I just wanted to give you a few examples of kind of what that looks like. So if you're feeling like your money or your income or your focus is dispersed, it probably is. So where can you focus? And I think that often can soothe the nervous system if you're having a time period where things are shifting and changing. Giving yourself one thing to focus on, even my multi-passionates, it doesn't mean one thing all the time, one thing forever. You're not getting married to one offer, but it does mean you're just focusing on one thing for 2 weeks or one thing for 4 weeks or one thing if it's a new strategy, please give it a minimum of 90 days, minimum 90 days. Brand new offer, brand new strategy. If you decide it doesn't work in 2 weeks, you're not giving it the chance to turn into something. It takes a minimum of 90 days for something new to truly generate results and to truly generate the data that you need to know what to change and shift from there. Does that make sense? Let me know if you have questions about that. I'm going to double check the chat. Okay. So number one is prioritize and focus. Number two sounds like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, but it's actually a sort of a sub point of number one, which is refine and evolve over time. So I'm just going to use offers as an example because I think it's the simplest and easiest way, right? So if I have a group, I don't, but if I had a group offer and a one-on-one offer, and I was like spending all my time kind of trying to sell both, and I shifted instead to only sell one-on-one for a little bit, that's my focus and priority. It doesn't mean that I take the group off my website, right? And in fact, sometimes I find that when we focus, we start to sell the other thing. I put a new intensive offer out recently. It's a 2-week one-on-one coaching program focused on your offers. I put this intensive out and I sold a 6-month one-on-one program, right? Like it all roads lead to one. It doesn't mean that you can't sell your other offers or that they won't sell. It's just about the focus of what you're putting out to your audience. And so the refine and evolve then is if I've got a group and a one-on-one and I choose to prioritize and focus on my one-on-one, then I'm not only focused and prioritized in terms of the messaging I'm putting out, but I'm also refining and evolving, meaning I'm paying attention to the data that's coming back in, who's responding to what I'm putting out, what do people think this one-on-one offer is, what do they think it's not, what kinds of discovery calls am I booking, are they the right people? Okay, great, let me refine this offer, not necessarily the offer itself, like number of sessions or whatever, but like, let me refine the positioning of it and how I'm talking about it, because I'm getting 3 really good people. Great, you know what? They all were talking about offers. Okay, let me talk a little more about offers because they get it. Or I'm getting 3 people and they're not really quite qualified. Let me shift and adjust my messaging. So I'm focused, refine and prioritize. I'm focused and I have my priority as my one-on-one offer. Doesn't mean I'm not doing other stuff. And then I'm refining and iterating over time, which from that focus, I can refine and iterate over time and make this offer and its positioning better and better and better, which just then means all of that energy, time, and effort gets compounded. And 6 months from now, 8 months from now, 6 weeks from now, more people will hear and get what you do and how you can help them because they've heard it for 6 weeks, 6 months, 8 months, right? And you just keep refining that. There's a lot of mindset to these pieces, right? Number one, like at least 50% of my clients are multi-passionate. I'm multi-passionate. Sticking in something for 90 days or more is really hard for a lot of people. I know I'm not alone in that, right? And so I'm not going to dive into the mindset around that today, but I do want to just acknowledge it. Like if you're having a hard time with that, like this is where, if you're new to me, I always talk about things from like the strategy side and the mindset side. And so what I'm talking mostly about today is strategy. But if your mindset can't support that, right, then you know where to work. Oh, great. I already have a clear offer. I already have a focus, right? Or I just need to focus. And so working on your mindset to help you to focus will then help you to focus and execute on that. Does that make sense? So I don't want to, because I'm talking so heavily on strategy today, I don't want to discount my love for mindset, because that is how we stay in a strategy. That is how we stay put with something, even when we're worried we might get bored by it. That's how we stay with it, is we work on our mindset. So I just want to address that. Mindset is everything. And I think mindset is everything in a buyer's market too. That's always minimum 50% of the work I'm doing with my clients. And it is definitely up there right now. And it works. And it works. And one thing I want to say, I shared this in my email about this, is my business is definitely it's August, right? So for sure I'm going to be, in fact, I think I've already made more sales this year than I did last year. And it's only 8 months in. Every single one of my clients is on track to make more money this year. So I'm not just making stuff up. And it takes a lot of focus and prioritization and mindset work and refinement. And so I don't want to act like, I guess I just want to say, these are the things that I'm seeing, and I'm seeing the results of this year. And I waited until month 8 to talk about it, to be sure, right, that I had the data to back this up. And then finally, the piece that you're really going to hate me for, number 3. So number 1, prioritize and focus. Number 2, refine and evolve. shift, and iterate over time, right? So we're not just saying pick and stick, be rigid, put an offer out, and if nobody gets it, just keep hammering it at, what's the phrase? Like, keep hitting your head against a wall, hammering it into their heads, whatever that is, until they get it. No, if they don't get it in 60 to 90 days at all, right? If you get data back and let's say in 90 days and nobody's gotten it, then you refine and you test. But you've got data that you've tested, right? If we use our business like a science experiment, we test something, but we test it for more than a few weeks. We test it for 90 days, and then we can iterate as we go. And then the changes that you're making aren't, oh crap, that didn't work, we better do this instead. The changes that you're making are really informed by the data that you've got. Okay, so number 3, personal outreach. Okay, I told you this is also not rocket science. We all know that business is about relationships. With the saturation, with all the AI stuff, all of this stuff, right? How many times have you guys like scrolled on Instagram or LinkedIn and just been like, oh my God, like, where's the good stuff? Like, I just am looking for cat videos personally. There's so much fluff and stuff out there. And the beauty of that, and I know because I attract people who really love what they do, who feel that their work is deeply personal. The beauty of what you are in business to do, this is actually what's working for us right now. People who are just in business to make a buck and don't care, and they just want to hurry up and make money so they can retire, and they don't care about the work they're doing. They're having a harder time because there's no personalization, right? They have AI writing their stuff. Not that AI is a bad thing, by the way. But so the authenticity with which you put your content out is the make or break, I find right now. And so, okay, that's your bonus number 4. But what I'm finding with personal outreach is it's always worked, by the way. Like, it's just always worked. When I send people a personal thank you note, like 6 years ago, I'm still benefiting from relationships that I created 6 and 7 years ago in my business, because relationships work. And I don't need to tell you guys that. Like, I know you all know that. If you're in my world, you're already, you're already sold on that. But most of the people in my world really hate it. Most of my clients, when I'm like, great, so can we send that person a personal email or reach out to them to get them on a call? And they're like, oh my God, I hate you. No, I'll just send a mass email out. No. Right? But the personal outreach is working. It's always worked. And I'm going to just give you a couple of examples. So first, let me back up. So number 1, the personalization, right, that's missing in AI is there in a personal message. That's what's working right now. Number 2, the other reason why this is working is people have lost a lot of trust. If you're a coach or a service provider, especially, I want you to think about this one, especially if your mindset is like, I hate you, Laura. I don't want to send personal slimy emails out to people. And I'm not suggesting that you send slimy emails out to anybody. But the coaching industry especially has lost a lot of trust because there's a lot of, like, the beauty of the coaching industry is it's not regulated. The thing that sucks the most about the coaching industry is it's not regulated, right? And so, I'll just use coaches as an example, right? So I have also hired coaches in my life that did not deliver on their promises or had really, really, really good marketing and talked to my problems. But when it came to delivering coaching to me, it didn't help me do what I wanted to do with it, because they were better at marketing than they were at being a coach. And so that's shifting, right? Which is making it, buyers for coaches are much more discerning. I think that's the case across the board in other industries too, but it's especially the case for coaches. And so showing up and showing that you are who you say you are, sending someone an email after a discovery call or a free session or a coffee chat and saying like, I heard you and this is how I could help you, if they've raised their hand to be sold to. That's a relationship. That's what people want to hear. And it doesn't have to, you don't have to be a coach to be able to do personal outreach. But I think the lost trust in the industry is all the more reason to send a personal message. that shit's naked sales. It just is. And so a couple of ways that you can do this, because I'm not suggesting, and I'm just looking at the time. Okay, let me know if you guys have questions. I'm not suggesting cold DMs and generic messages. So I'm not saying send private messages to people that you just drafted over here that are generic to nobody and send, like, I'm not suggesting any of that slimy, gross stuff. I'm suggesting taking the time to not be efficient at all and writing a personal message or setting up a personal phone call, a one-on-one direct message on Insta, however you do, if you're DMs or email or whatever, however you do that, sending individualized messages to people in varying place, like when it's appropriate, right? So times when it's appropriate are after they've downloaded your free thing, or if they've taken you up on a free offer. If they, let's see, like I do free sessions and I send a personalized message back to everybody after their free session. And I always let them know that that's coming too. In that session, when I'm giving somebody free coaching, I generally summarize like the highlights and their takeaways. Like I usually assign homework, for example. And so I'll say like, hey, these are the 3 actions that we said you could take during the call. I'm just going to write that up for you so that you have it, right? That's just me being the coach that's what I do with my clients. So why would I not do that with a potential client? Right. And then I take an opportunity to say, you know, I would love to help you further. Here's how we could do that. Probably we've already had some version of this conversation anyway. And here's specifically from our conversation where we would start working together, right? It can just be a summary of your conversation. It can just be, I saw this and I thought of you. Like, I'm not suggesting anything that's slimy. And taking the time to send a personalized message, it matters. People care about that. They appreciate it. And if they don't, that's also okay, right? Like if you ask somebody out on a date and they say no, okay, you can ask the next person out. Like it doesn't need to be that they have to then respond. A lot of people don't respond. It's not about that. It's about giving them the opportunity and maintaining that relationship at a deeper level, right? As people progress through your sales cycles, you're just creating a deeper relationship with them. And that's what personal outreach can do. So again, free offers, those are a great example. After discovery calls, and this is also kind of bleeding into follow-up. A lot of people are not following up. And the other piece I want to say about that is if sales cycles are longer and people are requiring more touch points before they buy, follow-up is even more important now. Just like sticking with something for 90 days or more is just as important. Same when it goes to personal outreach. So keeping a follow-up plan, put a follow-up plan together. The best advice I can give you around this is come up with a plan like separate from each individual. Sit down quietly, go to your coach, grab a free session with me, and come up with a clear plan for how you're going to follow up in various ways. And then all you have to do is execute, right? So if I have a free call with somebody and I really want to work with them, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like in my head about it, and I really want to work with them and I don't want to sound desperate. So I'm just not going to send them a follow-up. And then I go to my follow-up plan and I'm like, yeah, but hold on. When I was the CEO of my business, not this crazy person right this minute, when I was the CEO of my business, I made a really good plan. Then that says that I follow up with people within a couple of days of the call. So I'm just going to do what I set out to do, right? And then you don't have to make a decision for every individual. That's the best advice I can give you, is to make a strategic plan specific to your outreach and do it when you are clear-headed. And then all you have left to do is to execute on it and to honor that commitment. It just makes it a lot easier. It takes you out of decision fatigue. And also, again, I'm going to speak out of both sides of my mouth. There are times where I don't have a plan for follow-up, but I just feel the desire to reach out to somebody because I have something to say. Right. And one example might be, I had a free session with someone had a free session with me recently, and I did my regular follow-up. And so they're in my sales cycle, whatever. And something that they said really helped me articulate something in my own marketing because I realized when they said something, I was like, oh, that's the problem that I've helping people with all the time. And I never think about this as something that I do, but it is really great. And so I sent them a message to tell them that that provided clarity for me. Like that was totally selfish, right? Like if you missed the free offer conversation last week, one of the reasons that I said free offers are also working right now is because it gives you that market research. It gives you information about what your people are saying. And so that person has said she doesn't want to work with me right now. And like that piece is where it is, but I still followed up to say like, hey, thank you. That's just developing the relationship, right? And so I'm not always doing that for a direct reason to make a sale, and that wasn't in my plan, but I can also just keep personal follow-up in my to-do list because it matters, right? And I just only ever want to do business like that. And so I guess what I'm saying is the other way to sort of add that into your strategy is once a week outside of your personal follow-up plan, just ask yourself the question, who else could I follow up with? And that might be somebody in your sales cycle that you're progressing them towards potentially working with you. It might just be, I met somebody networking and I'm going to sit for a minute because I really enjoyed meeting with them. I'm going to take a minute and really think about who I might be able to connect them to for a personal, for another networking coffee chat or to become a client for whatever reason, right? What other relationships can I keep nurturing? And that may or may not ever have anything to do with my sales cycle, right? But it all matters, and it all maintains those relationships that matter. Okay, so number one, focus and prioritize. Number two, within your focused priority, keep refining and iterating and testing and evolving as you go so that it just keeps getting better. And that compounded effort helps people know what you do or what your new offer is or what you want to focus on now. And then get over yourself and send some personalized messages. I find so often one of the words I use with my clients is low-hanging fruit. Like we all have low-hanging fruit, people that are just about ready to buy from us, whether we know who they are or not. And if you don't know, I recommend having some real clear strategies around how you track your audience so that you do know who is generally, you're not in somebody's brain, right? But you generally know who has progressed through your customer journey and who is closer to buying than others. And so within your low-hanging fruit, right? People who have had discovery calls and haven't said yes yet, people who are coming to every single thing you do and asking all the questions and doing all the things, right? That might be your low-hanging fruit. If they're clear about it. How can you just harvest that low-hanging fruit? 9 times out of 10, it's just like reaching back out to someone. Like, again, I'm not pretending this is rocket science. These are very simple things that aren't new to you. And these things are I forced myself to pick 3 because we only have 45 minutes. And as a friend of mine corrected me today, I always say I'm very long-winded, but she told me I'm not long-winded, I'm very deep. And this is true. So if I'm going to talk for 45 minutes, I'm only allowed to talk about 3 things because I just have so much to say. But these are the things I forced myself to come up with, the 3 things that are rising to the top of like what's just really helping. And I also forced myself to think about, as a one-on-one coach, I always, I've been talking all day today about I'm not here to help you run a business, right? So I don't have a group coaching program. I'm not teaching like how to do all the things and follow my formula. And so one of the challenges I often have when I sit down to do events like this is like, yeah, but this isn't a universal thing, right? This might be true for this client, but it's not true for that client, and it's not true for my business. And so how do I make this universal? And that's why I forced myself to come up with 3 things, because these are the 3 things that I'm just seeing working every single place with every single client at some level, right? All different phases in business, all different levels of revenue, all different levels of, some of my clients work part-time, some work full-time, right? It's work. These are just the three things that pretty much are working for everyone. And conversely, these are the things I see getting in most people's ways if things aren't going the way you want them to, if you're not making the money that you want to, or if you're overwhelmed and overworked and you've got the money coming in, but the enjoyment is slipping. These are the things, right? These are just the three things that I'm seeing that are going to either slow you down, keep you in it, and turn things around or take things to the next level. Okay, let me just check the chat. And I didn't get to, there was a specific question that I want to just very quickly answer because I think we touched on it. Let me just pull it up really quick. Okay, it's about, pulled it up and then I closed it. It's about tuning out the noise. So how do you tune out the noise and get clear about, I don't remember this question. It was about how do you tune out the noise and get out of the shoulds, like, oh, you need to do this strategy, and you need to do this strategy, and blah, 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 and like get clear on like what you need. And so one of the things, these are some questions that I have my clients. Sometimes I'll I'll send them a note in Basecamp to specifically ask them these questions on a regular basis, because I just think it's kind of gets you back to like, back to number one, what's my focus, what's my priority? Because people are going to tell you all day, every day that their strategy is the thing you need, right? Like my offer, for example, is about offers. My new intensive is about offers, right? But maybe your offer is good and clear and solid, right? So the question I would ask yourself, two questions I would have you ask yourself if you're struggling to tune out the noise. Number one, what season is my business in right now? So define that. What are your goals? What's your priorities, right? What are you setting out to accomplish right now in this season? And then within that season, what do I need personally? Do you need more time with your kids? You need to stop at 3 o'clock. Okay, you need to build your business around that schedule. All right, what do I need? What does my craft need so that I can still be a really good, in my case, coach? What do my clients need from me right now underneath this season that I've defined for myself? What do they need? And most importantly, not most importantly, but the one that everybody wants to forget is, what does my business need? And so if people are trying to tell you, my favorite example is like, start a podcast. I really creatively want to start a podcast, and I'm not going to do it at the moment because it just keeps falling to the bottom of the priority list. And that's by design. I'm very okay with that. But if people are telling you you need to start a podcast, but what you really need to do is sell a brand new offer, then starting on a brand new platform, that's just like too real. That doesn't help you get there. Certainly doesn't help you get there quickest, right? If you have a brand new offer, what you want to do is pick your low-hanging fruit. You want to start selling to the people who are already right there in your world, already your biggest fans, already want to buy the next thing that you put out, and sell to them and let that be your focus. And then, yeah, of course, as you go with that new offer, once it grows and evolves, you might want to absolutely put a podcast out and get more reach. But that's not going to serve you in this business right now if you're launching a new offer, for example. And I use podcasts as a great example. So it's a heavy lift, right? It's a really great strategy. I freaking love podcasts. But it, just like anything, it takes a minute, just like a startup. It takes a minute to generate results. And sometimes the fastest path of least resistance right in front of you and is generally with what you've already got. And it's about tweaking what you've already got to get yourself there faster. Okay, I am going to close us down for now. If you have questions, if you watch the replay again, no matter whether you're here or not, you're going to get a copy of the replay. So if questions arise later, please feel free to just hit reply. That email that I'm sending you later today goes straight to my inbox. Nobody else sees it. So feel free to share insights, ahas, etc. And just really quick, we've got next week, same time, same place. I'm talking about the mindset that's helping my clients relieve their stress and make more money. This is something that I've talked to almost every single client about this year. And so I just was like, it has to be in the Think Differently. And then on August 29th, Same time, same place, but we're going to meet for 90 minutes and it's going to be this month's masterclass. And that will be available to sign up next. So look out for that coming out next week. That's August 29th. And I will, oh, and I mentioned this briefly. I have a free offer. If you have never had a session with me, I have free coaching sessions available. They're mini sessions, they're short term, but if today was really helpful and you're like, great, got it, Laura, but I don't know how to apply it to my business, or I want help applying this in this particular way, it's perfect for one topic, because a 30-minute session. So if that is not something you've taken me up on, I am still offering them and I would love to support you. And I'll put the link in the email for that as well. And thanks for the great tips. This was awesome. Thank you. Thank you for being here, everybody. And I'll see you next week.